This podcast is highly sponsored by Thriveys. Thriveys is the first mental health product line with affordable products you can use whenever you need something to lean on for emotional or mental support. Currently, we have coloring books of all ages and affirmation mugs. There are some new products coming up, so you need to make sure that you check out Thriveys on Instagram and Facebook so that you don't miss out on the updates. And yes, listener donations are also welcome. You can drop your donation on 0770-338-440. The number is registered in the names of Navu Network. If you're not in Uganda, remember to add the country code +256 770 338 440. Hey, welcome to Advocacy. This is the #1 African millennial podcast that sits at the intersection of mental health, self-discovery, and personal growth. If you're new here, welcome to your new virtual home. Be sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening in so that you don't miss out on any of the future episodes. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for being the heartbeat of the show. Hi, I am coming to you with a lot of shame and embarrassment and guilt and so many underlying emotions that would mean the same thing as those three. It was not my intention to disappear for the last 2 weeks. There's a lot going on. A lot. So the last time you heard from me, I believed or had the confidence that we could ace the celebration of the podcast 5 years on 30th November. But the team that I'm working with believes that we need more time for the whole program. Oh my God, I'm even blushing at the thought of it. The whole program, because it's not just a celebration of 5 years, it's a 3-in-1 event. So yeah, 30th November, continue with your life, please. Just go on with your life. You're not doing the early celebration of the 5 years podcast. Perhaps at the 30th of December, there will be a smaller celebration, but the bigger thing is going to be done next year. And this time, we're not changing dates. I need you to log in. If you don't have anything yet happening in 2025, let this be your first 2025 log. So set 17th May as the date for something that's going to be so big. We're going to have a podcast live celebration, and yeah, I'm not allowed to say everything right now, but yes, we've been in the kitchen cooking. My brain is cooked. Even when I was coming for this, I felt like I think I'm still tired. Goodness gracious me. But here I am, ready to give you the last episodes of season 5. And for today's conversation, I'm going to have it with none other than the founder of Mental Mosaic Consultancy. This is the same person who is the brain behind the Tabula Rasa book. Now, this specific conversation, first of all, it is 2 parts because, I was about to say because Zahra and I, when we get to talk, but I also recognize I don't want to act like we talk a lot, but for the times that we've been talking, it's like the phones have to first black out. But yeah, we had such a great conversation, and I almost found myself turning the whole conversation into snippets, because at every moment when I was listening, there was a snippet to come to carry away. But yeah, I tried to do some self-control, and here's the conversation.
Woo! Let's do this.
Hi, Zahra.
Hi, Nabu.
I had to learn something. I like the way how you call my name. It makes me...
I love your name, by the way. I never got to ask you what it means.
It has no meaning.
No.
I swear. So the way how our namings are done, mostly from my tribe, the Buganda tribe, we have this thing where names are gotten from clans.
Okay.
Yeah. So they become identifiers.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can tell which clan the person comes from.
So which clan do you come from?
I come from the Butiko clan. Butiko is a mushroom.
Ish, I like mushrooms.
So liking them, perhaps it will make me more likable to you. But liking them does not, belonging to the clan doesn't mean that you can eat them. It actually forbids you from eating your clan.
No, so you can't eat mushrooms?
Yeah, for purposes of this podcast, yeah.
Wow! Oh man!
For purposes of the public, I cannot.
You cannot. Oh my God.
Yes. So, and even it goes as far as even the people that belong to the clan, even if they are your immediate family or you don't know them.
Yeah.
So you can't date them.
Really?
They immediately become your siblings or fathers or aunties.
Well, that's fun.
They will be considered to be part of your paternal family.
Wow. Yeah. So you guys kind of mix, you know? You intermarry, right?
By intermarriage, what do you mean?
So you cannot marry from the same clan, right?
It's terrible. You're looked at as siblings, as relatives.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If someone from Butiko comes up to me, I cannot.
Oh, really? That is so interesting.
That is my dad. That is my paternal aunt.
That is quite interesting because we don't have clans, but we have caste systems.
Okay.
And I can marry. In fact, we are actually encouraged to marry from the same caste system. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
I would imagine castes are they like classes?
Yes, classes, yes, but sort of like tribes too at the same time. Yeah. It's very broad. Maybe, that one we'll talk about it maybe another time. It's very broad. It's very, very broad.
Yeah. So welcome to Hashtime in Navguzi Chiwanuka.
Thank you for actually having me. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm honored to have you.
This is like my first, I wouldn't say my first podcast, but I would say my first fun podcast. Like we're just going, you know. So in a way, I feel like I'm a virgin and this is my first.
You have given me so much responsibility.
Yes, please. But no pressure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for someone that does not know who Zahra is, please introduce yourself. Let us get to know who you are.
I hate that question, honestly.
What makes you hate it?
I feel like you're put in a box because people now have this, you know, like, okay, we want to know who Zahra is. Who am I? I ask myself that question every day. I feel like you have moments every day. You wake personally, at least for me, I feel like I wake up different than I was. Yeah. Every day. And I feel like it's the same question. Like if you asked me this question maybe 5 months ago, I would have been like, this is Zahra. Zahra is a, free bird. Zahra is a, wounded healer. Zahra is this.
I actually had that somewhere.
Right?
Heal a bit. I was like,
I have identified myself as that for like the longest time. Yeah. But then now, if you asked me, who are you? The honest truth is I have been waking up and looking at myself and actually asking myself, who is this woman, Because I feel like I have evolved into something else. Still the same, but it's like a new layer. It's like I've shed off the layer that I had. Yeah. And this is a new layer that I have. And it's even new for me because if I said I know who this person is, I would be lying that I do. But I am open. I am fun to knowing her. And I guess that's the beauty of it. But in regards to maybe my profession, I am a development scientist, and I would say I'm a wounded healer still. That's what we do. So it still remains.
Honey badger.
No. Oh my God. My friend I'm from a call and my friend was saying the same thing. Honey badger, honey badger. So what about it?
Because it's I keep looking at the names that change because at some point, I think you disappeared off Instagram.
I did.
And then you returned as servant of Allah.
Yes.
And then you have now turned into honey badger. I'm like, all right.
Okay.
These are all transitions I'm happy to experience and be a witness of.
Oh my. You must be thinking, what an unstable woman.
No,
oh my
no,
God.
no. It's not about instability. At least you're on a journey.
I am.
You can't be stagnant. Without movement, you don't grow. So
I am. Oh my God. So with the servant of Allah, I have embraced this journey wholeheartedly. Yeah. I would not say I was not religious, but I would say I'm knowing God in a very different way, in the most beautiful way. I'm learning about him the way I've never learned about him. I don't know if it makes sense, but we grow up and we are told this is God, but I don't think we take time to actually be on that path to seek him, like that personal journey. Like, okay, I have been told that this is God my whole life, but then who is God to me, So I decided to take that path and I realized that it doesn't need to be people's journey because it's my journey and it's a very intimate journey. It's very personal to me. So I did change it to Allah's servant because that's how I identify myself as God's servant. Yeah. But then I said, for the public to know, I don't think this is something I want to share with the people because it's personal for each and every one of us. So honey badger came because of my personality. I would say my spirit animal is the honey badger. She is resilient. She is tough. She is a no nonsense. She gets up. You put her down. She's like, no, I will exist the way I want to exist. And she's not afraid, right? She's tiny and whatnot, but she's not afraid. So that's why. Honey badger. Oh my God. What did you think about that, honey badger? Honey badger.
Because it's right there. It's right there. I told you I keep looking at the transitions. I'm like, okay, today she is this, today. All right, so where are we going next?
That's the other thing, I think this now, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but this has worked for me, like for the longest time. I usually say this. We live in a world where we are playing, right? And if we are playing, then we are always wearing these roles, we have these roles that we play, and with each role it's like being in theater.
Right.
You have to wear a costume, right? So I used to have this idea that every time I walk out of my door, I decide who I wanted to be that day. If I wanted to be reserved, Zahra, I will play that part. And if I wanted to be carefree, Zahra, then I will play that part and I'll play it good.
Let me tell you something. You woke up for this podcast ready to be carefree because I did not anticipate this.
Really? Too much?
I did not.
No.
I was ready to be as humble as I can be.
Oh my God.
But you have also brought me out.
Please come out. I don't want to be the only one out here. Oh my God. Because it's okay. I don't know how many people do this, but I think that's how. What do you think? What do you think about that?
What do I think about that? So personally, I just wake up ready to be me. You know, I think I was never boxed when I was growing up.
Yes.
And I really give that credit to mom.
I love that.
She had to give me, and for context, I was raised by a single mom. By the time I was born, my dad was dead.
Wow.
So
I'm sorry.
I don't know if I say it's okay.
So it's, I mean, I you know, that is quite
okay.
Right?
It's not, guy, come back.
No, it's really not, you know?
Yeah, so she allowed me to be. And I've been thinking so much about, in the middle of the year, I landed on a documentary of Whitney Houston, and I started following more of her stories because when she was alive, I didn't experience her enough. And I felt like, I really cheated myself on that, but I'm happy music doesn't die. So I started looking out more of the content that was related to her. And I found another documentary that was created, and it was titled Can I Be Me? And so I've been thinking a lot for the past, I don't know, month or 3 weeks. I've been asking myself this question, can I be me?
Can I be me?
You know, I don't want you to come and tell me, hey, your phone doesn't look feminine enough. You need to buy a cover that looks feminine.
Right.
Oh, why do you walk like that? Your strides are wide. You should walk feminine. Oh, you're a lawyer. You should be dressed in suits every day. You should be wearing your hair like this. Like for the last 6 years of me being in employment, there are bits of me that died, and I had to die because I was supposed to fit in with the prerequisites of what I should look like, but essentially it wasn't me. So I'm going through that season of re-exploring myself. Like, there is the social life of me that has been okay with who I am, but my profession was killing me. So I'm going through that transition of, hey, okay, what did we used to love? Can we do this? I'm giving more care to my hair these days.
I love that. I need to do that more often because, girl.
So Zahra, I got to know you because, and I got close to you because of your mental health advocacy.
Yes, ma'am.
And I would like to know what may have first inspired you to become the mental health advocate that you are.
I rarely get these questions because I feel like I'm more of on the opposite side where I get to ask these questions rather. Right?
You're in the hot seat today.
Oh my God, it's too hot. It's piping hot.
You ask another time.
No, but I love it. I love it because it also gives me time and sort of reflect on why and where. I don't know how to make it brief. It started when I was really, really young.
Right.
So for people who have followed my journey, especially with mental health advocacy, I have tried to not be out there as much, but for people who know that I experienced childhood trauma at the hands of my family members. And at 9 years old, I was suicidal. I was already thinking about how life would be great if I just died, right? The pain would go away if I just died. And I experienced these symptoms when I was very, very young. I had a psychotic episode when I was around 9 years old. 9, 10. And I didn't know that it was a psychotic episode. When I got older and, started taking care of it and taking care of myself, I found out that I had plenty of these episodes when I was younger. So I didn't know. And the people who were raising me, if I may say, I don't think they were responsible enough to even know or want to know. So I ran away when I was age 11. And then I went to live with my dad. Living with my dad, he didn't we live in a society where we don't talk about these things.
You don't.
It's like, oh, yeah, we don't. Like, you're finally home. Yeah, you went through what you went through, but oh, you're finally here.
Yeah.
What could possibly be wrong? Why are you not okay?
You have food, you have clothes, you have...
Come on, right? You are here. So why are you not okay? And no one talked to me about these things. So I spent my early teenage years, my later teenage years, just trying to figure it out. And I remember it was like 3 months to my KCSE, my final exams in high school. And I had tried suicide so many times before. And I said, you know what? I am not dead yet. So I must make it, I must as well, I must make this, So I got done with that. I went to uni. Uni now was very rough for me because now I got to really face myself and the demons I've been trying to get away from. So mental health advocacy came when I started, meeting different people, going through the same struggles. Like, it's not talked about. And we need to talk about this. Just like we're talking about malaria, we're talking about TB, HIV, we are talking about diabetes. We need to talk about mental health because it needs as much attention, even more, because if you're not okay, then everything around you is not going to be okay. So that's how it started. And I think for me, I transitioned into understanding why was I doing it in the first place? Who was I doing it for? And I realized I was doing it for that baby girl who was in me.
Baby girl.
Yes. So to summarize it started way back, but the action was more, in the recent years. And it needed to happen. And I realized that it was very taboo to talk about. Even with people, I would talk about these things with people and people would be like, no, that is such a white person, disease.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like such a white person disease? Or why do I need therapy? I don't need therapy. It's not going to help me. You are running away. If that's what you think, you are literally running away. Because if I'm being honest, the first time I ever had experience with that, I was in third year of uni and I had not slept for three days, consecutive days. Yeah, not even a second, not more, not less, nothing. And I was having this bad splitting headache, this migraine. And then it turned into a whole week where I didn't open my curtains. I didn't open my door. The padlock was still in my door. And I was no longer sleeping in the bedroom. I was now sleeping in the living room. I had not showered for a whole week. And that's when I realized I was not okay. So I went to the hospital. I'm just going to a normal doctor. And the doctor is asking me questions. And I'm like, shouldn't you be taking blood samples or something,
Right.
And he said, you appear to be struggling with depression.
Ooh.
And right? And I was one of those people who said, no, this is white people disease.
Oh, you knew what depression was? I had
from movies. Things. From movies, like
I need to check with the movies I was watching then.
I know. Because when that was said, I was like, no. And then he said that it doesn't appear that I've been struggling for like last 2 months or last year or even 2 years back. It's been something I've struggled with basically for so many years. A doctor who just met me, is saying that. So I was referred to a therapist, which I said I'm not going because I cannot be depressed. But I was taking the anxiety meds they gave me, which seemed to work. And then I finally said, I am facing my fears. Something is not okay. I am not okay. The people around me are not okay because of me. So I need to make sure that I understand what is happening to me. So I took that initiative and said, I'll see someone. Here we are now.
here we are now having a trans-border conversation.
Girl, I know you're in this space and you have been in this space. So I'll pose the question back to you. I want to know.
Wait for your podcast. You're eating into my time.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry. Pole. I'm so curious.
That will be me taking over your podcast. I don't want to do that. So I'm waiting for your invitation.
I will soon. I need to stop being lazy, procrastination.
Perhaps
as a sign.
This will put you on tension. And if you don't, perhaps maybe I should put a fine. How much are you willing to lose?
Girl, I don't even have a fancy studio. You have a whole studio here.
You don't need to.
Oh my God. Let me get it together.
I did not start with a studio, trust me.
Oh really?
I did not. I'm about to make 5 years in podcasting, and
wow.
I only started coming to the studio in 2022. So
wow. We need to celebrate that. How are you celebrating that?
I'm trying to figure that out, but this is not the time for it, Zahra. We will do that on a call.
Okay. I'm not. We are just from our own personal call. So I'm sorry.
So you've talked about that part where you were a child and you didn't know what you were struggling with. Can we talk about how valuable it is to have to come to a place of putting a name to that unknown thing?
Oh my God. So my sister, the other day, she saw my book and she loved it. She's 12, by the way.
12.
And she is. And I was reading to her my poems and she's like, oh my God, I want to be a writer, when I grow up, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
But then one thing that struck was she said, can you make this book for kids like us? I was like, It got me thinking, I wish I had such a book when I was that age, because I was struggling in that age, right?
Yeah.
And I think parents, first of all, need to be very aware with their own emotions so that they can be aware of their children's emotion, right, and be able to kind of help them navigate, because at the age of around, I don't know, from a certain age, I think till age 9, 7, 8, your child needs you to help them regulate their emotions. So for me, I didn't have that. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anyone who helped me regulate any emotions. In fact, fear and abuse was being inflicted on me. So I had to help myself. And I didn't know. So my brain sort of went on, fight and freeze mode, because we don't know how to deal with this. So can we really put a name on this? I think we grow. We don't become children, we grow into adults. So I think we should put a name on it and we should be honest about what these things are, where they come from. Kids learn. They're going to learn about these things from somewhere. You don't want them to learn the wrong things about it. You want them to be honest with themselves and be honest with you. I think most parents, in my experience, are afraid of that honesty, that truth. That is how you protect your child, by being honest with how they're feeling, telling them it's okay, honey, what you're experiencing is this, and it's okay.
This is how.
They don't. That's why you're there, to let them know, like, what is this? And I think we can use those kid-friendly, terminologies. Maybe, like the rain.
Something.
Please do.
I'm going to send you something. Perhaps we shall work on it together.
Yes, please.
For the final product.
Yes, please. But I'm really curious now to know, should we put a name on it? I am sorry, I'm misbehaving now.
So putting a name on it, I was actually going as far as you were experiencing psychotic episodes that you did not know.
I did.
Exactly. So like when you're going through depression, you're just floating through life.
I I was told I was possessed, actually.
You see that kind of thing. So when you meet someone that empathizes with you and understands what you're struggling with, and they say, hey, so this is something.
Oh, I cried. I cannot tell you how much I cried.
Yeah.
Thinking about that first time I was at a psychiatrist's office, because I didn't go to the therapist office, but when I decided to finally, I need this, I said, I need to go to a psychiatrist, So when I went there, and it was like a hard pill to swallow, and I was sitting across from him, and I was listening to this hard truth, right?
Yeah.
That because I remember my second psychiatrist, I asked him, am I ever going to be okay? Ooh. Am I ever going to be, that was the question, because I'm doing this, right? Am I ever going to be okay? When you have malaria, you're going to heal after taking this medication, right? You have typhoid, you will be okay after if you do this, this, and this. So I was doing everything he was asking me to do, and we were having our own therapy sessions where I was getting to know more about myself. So knowing about myself, I became hopeful, because I was not hopeful before. So now I was being kinder and more loving, and being kinder came with compassion.
Is full of gems, like, oh my God.
Is it?
Should I just leave and I leave the podcast for you, ma'am?
No.
So that you educate the masses on your own.
Oh my God. I think I'm just being honest,
I love it.
That's what we need, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was being more kinder. The more I was learning about Zahra and the baby girl who was wounded, it came with a lot of compassion. Now with the compassion came with, I can be better. But now the real question was, can I ever be okay? Will I ever heal? And that was the question, healing. Will there be a point in life where I don't need to do anything and I'll just live life like quote unquote a normal person?
Yeah.
And the hard truth was seeing my therapist say, he calls me Zahra. That's how he pronounces my name, Zahra.
Yeah.
Zahra, you can, with this condition that you have, healing is not like a destination. You don't just say, I'm going to heal in 2 years, in 5 years. But what we want to, he was really honest with me. And he said, you need to be on these medications for you to be able to learn coping mechanisms, for you to be able to learn who you are. Because if your mind is stable, you get to see things, not frosty, but a bit clear. Because before it was very, very frosty. It was not clear, right? And now he's like, okay, healing is not a destination. It's every day you choose. These are the things that you are learning to do. You are learning to choose you. You are learning what works, what doesn't work. You are learning to say no. And saying no is great for you. Saying no is self-care. Saying no is self-love. You are learning all these things so that every day you wake up, you know how to tackle that struggle, that beast, Right. It's sort of, you learn these techniques. So that was hard for me. It led me to stop taking medication for a while, because now I was like, I'm never gonna be okay, am I? Right? Why am I taking these medications? Not like it's something that's going to, one day I wake up and say, I'm no longer struggling. But then I was giving up on myself before I even got there. Look at me now. I am not on any meds. Hala, I am not on any meds. And I can tell you, I love it. I love it. But I needed to go through that. And it was such a rough, it's so rough, because nobody wants to look at themselves and say, I'm not okay. Nobody,
And even the journey, coming to the journey of being kind to yourself. Yeah. I think it's something that you had, I don't know if it's you that is managing the Mosaic
yes.
counts. There's something you shared about how we aren't kind to ourselves, something like that. And it took me a very long time, like probably even a decade into adulthood, maybe not, to learn how to think about myself. Because for some reason, all you see, especially coming from the environment that you grow up in, you're seeing your mother sacrificing everything before she thinks about herself. There is you. And so you also learn to thrive in that nature. You do not, and it's not a thing of me demonizing that culture, because for the person that you love, you show up for them. But then I also found myself in a position where I joined an Xaverian movement. I don't know if you've heard of that. I joined an Xaverian movement. Those things Catholics do. I joined an Xaverian movement when I was about 11, and the thing that was taught there, and I don't know if it was supposed to be the gospel truth, but I took the teachings literally to a point that whatever someone wanted came first before what I wanted. Because they put community, it's God first, then community, then your neighbor, and every other person who needs you, and you come last on the list. So I was always on the look. Okay, so who needs? And I kept, I think, waiting for someone to also show up for me, and it just wasn't happening, because I was not even having a moment of vulnerability, because I was in a state of, okay, if someone sees me breaking down, they'll lose hope. If they have their hope in me, and they're leaning into me for strength. Like I was doing that a lot for, I think, during my examination period. I was always looking out for my friends, like, oh, are you scared? No, it's going to be okay. Don't worry. And these guys always came out performing better than I was. I can't believe it. They were melting down and I wasn't. And even if I was scared, I couldn't show that, because it felt like if they see me scared, now that means they're going to be like, oh my God, I'm doomed. So I had to mask a lot of stuff.
How was that? How was it? How was that experience?
It's a heavy workload.
Must be. I can't even imagine.
Because you don't know. The first time I may have said to myself that I matter was the very first time I experienced a suicidal ideation. And I was telling myself, no, I will not. And I was telling myself, I also matter.
I matter.
But I didn't even know what it meant.
Wow.
You see that? Because I matter how,
How? Yeah.
And I just had to keep these words ringing around me. And I was lucky that I landed on content. The reason that's why this podcast is up and having these conversations is because that my healing journey started through digital conversations. I just landed on these things. So I matter how? What do you mean?
How?
Like it was so foreign for me. The only love that I really came to understand and appreciate, and the love that saved me, was my mother's. So anything else I didn't know. I matter? How?
How? And that's a powerful statement. I matter. I matter. Well, when you say that, it just struck a nerve, and it resonates, because before, growing up, I didn't feel like I mattered, because I had people around me telling me how much I did not matter. So you grow up not thinking that you matter. Like, hey, life would be great for you guys if I wasn't around, Right. And you're a child. So I think even your mother's love reassured you that you mattered, that was even powerful. And for me, it took a stranger and I don't know if this is considered okay in the medical field, because my psychiatrist would look at me like his own child. Because come COVID, there was a time I couldn't afford therapy and medication. And he would get me medication and he would give me free therapy, because he said, I see you as my daughter and I want you to be okay. You need to be around. You need to hang in there,
That's his heart.
I know. And that was the first time I truly felt like I mattered, Like I would go to see him, for my therapy sessions, or he would call me if I had a therapy session, and he'll be like, "You're not here yet. We had an appointment." And I'll be crying and I'm like, "I don't have money. I can't, And during that time, I had therapy sessions like twice a week because I needed them. And it's like, I don't care. You need to bring yourself here. Right. So it got to a point where I would go and he'll be like, "Oh, my daughter, you're looking so lovely today," and he'll tell me how lovely I look and how high spirited I was. And I'll be like, "But I'm not okay," But then it was easier. And he made me feel like it was okay to not be okay. I can still look good and still not be okay, right. So, my doctor was the first person to actually let me know that I actually mattered. Kudos to him.
Kudos to him. He's really heaven sent.
He was.
He's really heaven sent. I remember the very first time I had in the first month of me experiencing what therapy looks like. And this is also 2020. I got late, I think. I was running late for my therapy session. And I realized by the time I get there, it might be like 15 minutes. And I was like, I'll just go another time. So I think I called these people and they were like, so next time you come, you'll have to pay for half the fee of today's session. I was like, hey,
what?
We did not have this conversation. What happened?
Yeah.
I was like, that's the policy. And I was like, yeah.
Whoa.
I disappeared.
Whoa. You're like, you after my money, not my healing. And I know that can be really, oh my God. Sometimes you wonder, do you really, do you care? But then I don't know. It's
kind of understandable because if someone has gone out of their way to say, oh, this is a client that is coming through today.
Yeah. So we're going to have to block others.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit complex to have a conversation around that where you're like, okay, how do I balance my professionalism and my humanity? Yeah, so I don't know. It's a tippy-toey thing.
It really is. Because even for the doctor, my doctor, I didn't expect him to do that, to be honest, because you are running a business, right? So, but he said, listen, you need to be on meds and you cannot stop medication just because you don't have the money. Right. Here, and I go for sessions, I used to prescribe medication every month. So he would give me medications like, hey, here are your medications for the next 3 months, Don't worry about the therapy sessions. Yeah. I need you to be okay. You cannot stop. This is something, and that's why it's called therapy. You have to be consistent, right, with it. So his humanity, truly, God blessed him with a good heart. He said, I feel like God sent him, because I don't know what I would have done, if he wasn't kind enough.
Right.
But yeah, you matter. I matter.
We matter. So there is this, when you are sharing about your struggles and going as far as thinking about suicide at the age of 9, this conversation is an affirmation of the children's struggles.
Yes.
Because most of the times we have this idea that, oh no, I give you food, you have school fees, why are you crying? Why are you doing this? And you're appreciative of my efforts. You have your siblings, they love you, I love you. What other reasons do people come up with? You go to school. So what is it? And I think we forget that we still carry these conversations into our adulthood and guilt trip people into this kind of like, especially for the believers, where you're like, are you kidding? You're a child of God. How dare you say that you're suffering?
Right.
That is you glorifying the devil, giving him power and things like that. You have a job. People are unemployed. You are married. People are still looking for marriages. You are complaining about the burden of raising children. Some people are childless.
I've experienced that before. And I think for me, even the fact that I couldn't even speak about the things that were happening were because of being surrounded by such ideologies. But now, knowing who God is, God doesn't want you to suffer. And God knows that we are human. He created us human with all these emotions.
Right.
It's okay, like, I don't think it's okay for someone to judge someone by, how they're feeling and put God's name there. God says you should be kind to your brother, to your neighbor, to your sister. So if I come to you or if you see me struggle, why judge? Ask me what I need. What do you need in this moment, right? That is God. Yeah, that is God. God is not judgment, The way I'm understanding God is quite different. And even when I relate to the childhood traumas, at that age, I was going through what I was going through. And now knowing what God expects rather from a parent is quite heavy in a sense, because a child is a gift, right? A child should not be treated like a burden. And I think what misses is how we talk. It's what is said, There's a saying that goes, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Right? So how do we talk to kids? How do we talk to the children you are taking care of? Even if they're not your children, say, for example, you see a child in the streets, maybe doing something wrong. What is your first reaction? Is it a reaction of compassion, or is it a reaction of reprimanding or judging, Like, I think we should lead more with compassion, because God is peace, God is love, God is kind. Why don't we lead with that first, right?
Yeah.
That's just me. That's just how I understand God. God is the most loving. God is the most kind. So why are we approaching things or people, especially these little human beings, who are growing with, so much hostility? I put food on your plate. You have a roof over your head. You're going to school. But how are you talking to me? When I mess up, you hit me. When I mess up, you tell me how much of a mistake I am, right? Or you tell your kids how stupid they are. Kids grow up to feel stupid. If that's what you're going to tell them, these are going to be adults who think that they are stupid, or adults who believe that they need to overcompensate. And
they are doing that a lot.
Right?
Watch the internet. Someone wants to educate you where they shouldn't be educating you.
Exactly. Because you missed a link in your childhood, right? Oh my God. Boy, oh boy.
I usually laugh because I think there's a time when someone put up a post asking if there is anyone that would be going to town because they needed something from town. And then someone came to the comment section, oh, by the way, for me, I never go to town anymore because I don't like the chaos. And, bro,
wow.
Who asked you?
Nobody, right? I don't like the chaos. Oh my God. It's like I've seen this everywhere, honestly. Like there's that need for validation, like, see me, look at me. I did this, I did that. Or let me put my opinion that nobody asked for, know. Trust me, childhood. How we were taught, to. I think that's, and I love this about the parents that are coming up now.
Yeah.
Because you see them being so intentional about healing themselves so that they can be better for their children, recognizing that children need that as much as we do. Because how many adults out here are just struggling and trying to heal their inner child? It's a lot. I'm doing it. So many people are doing it. But take, for example, if you are approached with so much compassion, like, okay, let's say maybe you spilt the milk, right?
Right.
Instead of someone telling you, how much mistake you're making, how about, hey, it's okay. We can wipe it off, right? It's not such a big deal.
There is frustration. You see what you're talking about right now?
Yes.
I just saw a video during my lunch break? I don't remember when I watched the video. And this kid was dancing with a platter. They were going to eat. It was a Muslim setting. And he slid. Everything on the platter fell. And they were laughing. And I was like, it could never.
I know.
Because we castigate our upbringing, the environment in which we were raised, but also when we sit and be compassionate about the struggles these people were also having. Imagine you spared money to make sure that your kids have a great lunch, at least, And then, are you kidding? How did you sleep?
How?
What do you mean you slipped?
You slipped. I know. I would have been, my head would have been banged, like, what do you mean you slipped?
So there is also poverty that we are struggling with. There are frustrations that we have, and we have, it's a lot going
You know what I blame it on, if I'm being honest? Since I'm an African, especially being a Kenyan, I blame that because this is the culture that I know and I'm exposed to. I can't talk about any other culture.
Right.
The culture of so much hostility, and if you make a mistake, no matter how small it is, you are going to be punished.
Right.
This thing started with the whole colonial period, where they saw that if you did this was a mistake, then you are going to be whipped. You're not going to be given food. Your land was, taken away from you. You didn't have privileges. And then now the new generation is raising adults like that, military style, If you make a mistake, the only punishment is beatings. I'm going to beat you, Why? And the new generation is full of poverty. Again, like you say, poverty, right?
Wild.
I struggled to work. I went out there and worked, and you're doing this. What gives you the right to do that? You should be grateful you're even eating. That is how they were raised. And then now the other generation is, this was what was done to me. The only way I can show you I love you is by beating you up so that you don't go astray. But look at what it's created, really. What did it create? Yeah.
Some people do not even have relationships with their parents.
I know so many people who don't.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, who? My father? Who? My mother? What? All she did was this and that.
Yeah.
I remember, and I really don't like talking about people in a sense, but I remember there was a very controversial story that was going on in Kenya. And a child committed suicide. And it came out that she was being bullied by her mother, right?
Oh, and I saw.
Did you see that, right?
It's just a few weeks ago.
Right? Yeah.
I saw it and
the messages came out, and they were really hard for me to even look at these messages because I could honestly resonate. And I went to the comment section, and so many people were really not okay with the fact that this child was talking about her traumas inflicted by her mother to a friend. Like, why would you? And it made me realize that the people who were saying this, they had their own struggles, but they couldn't come to terms with those struggles. Like, I have been told I cannot talk about this about my parents, but you're not talking about your parent in any way. It's the honest truth. You are struggling. If your parent is telling you, I wish you were dead, I wish you go kill yourself,
You made
how
it
is
impossible
that
for me? You interrupted my life.
Right? So how am I supposed to be okay? How do you expect me to be okay. If the first human interaction I am meant to have is my mother, if the person who is supposed to show me compassion is my mother, right? Love, care is my mother. But I don't get that from you. Like, you've made it impossible for me in this world, right? It's a tough world. So if I don't feel safe with you, I basically do not feel safe anywhere else. And I'm not supposed to grieve that part that is lost, because you have killed a part in me, in that sense. So when I saw that, it was really, really sad that, first of all, this girl who went, no, she didn't get that compassion, and she's still not getting that compassion. And I think so many people are in denial because your mother is the most important person, is supposed to be the most important person. Sadly, some people can give birth, but not everyone is meant to be a mother, Not everyone is. And that's okay. And even us, as a grown person, I had to come to terms with that someone can give birth to you, but they don't necessarily need to be a mother to you. You can get that from somewhere else. But guess what? That child in you is still crying out for mommy, is still yearning for that mom.
I know.
It's
if the way how you put it, you could just give it to the stories that surround adopted children. They will grow up in loving homes, and like the story that I told you yesterday.
Yes.
And still there is that yearning that comes from, I want my parent. Where are they? They're supposed to be my first model of love.
Exactly.
So I saw the story. It was heartbreaking on both ends, on my end.
It was.
I went from feeling sorry for this lady for having lost the child, and finding yourself on the internet being castigated in moments of grief. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I feel sad for the lady in a sense that she is a girl inside who is also yearning for that. Right. Still that child who doesn't know how to navigate emotions, who doesn't know how to express, to communicate. You can still see that it's a struggle, but she does not know how to do that. And there's a saying that goes, hurt people hurt people. When you are hurt, you'll hurt the people who you love and who love you back. Not
whether
because it's
intentional or not, right?
Or not, exactly. So what do you do? And I usually say this: healing is a personal journey. Take that initiative. If you're going to wait for someone to come save you, guess what? You are the one to save you. No one else is going to do that for you. You better say, what? I am going to be my own Prince Charming. That's what we grew up with, right? I'm going to be my own mother, right? I didn't get one, but for how long will I stay in this victimization, mentality? I need to be my own mother, because my mother is never going to come here, My mother is not going to show up for me the way I have wanted her to show up for me. So who's going to show up for me? You need to show up for yourself, You need to reparent yourself. Tell yourself, hey, it's okay. The same way you were never told it's okay, you have to now, change that narrative. Tell yourself, it's okay. I got you. I love you. I'm going to be there for you no matter what. Trust me, it changes you in a beautiful way, if I may say.
I am going to be there for you no matter what. To have no to matter be there for yourself.
You have to. No,
it's a new thing. You don't even. You have to learn to be there before you wait for every other person to come around.
And that comes to the space of, I think, I have this mentality, and I had my aunt talk about this. She said, I need to show up for myself. Now she's speaking in regards to her. She was telling me, you know what? I need to show up for myself first. I need to love myself first before I can love someone else. Because when I do that, I am able to show up a better parent, a better friend, a better sister, You know, I'm able to show up the best. But if I cannot show that love to myself, how am I supposed to love someone else if I don't even show it?
You are too far from me. I'm supposed to be shaking your hand. I wanted to stand up and shake the hand, but then I realized you're not here.
Oh, man. We need to do that in person now.
Because let me tell you, that period when I said to myself that I matter, it was coming from heartbreak, relationship-wise. And I talked about this recently. I think this is a realization that I came to last year or the year before last year, where I was like, okay, these people did this.
Yes.
But I think I let them do that.
Yep. It's the sad truth. It's the sad truth, but it's the truth.
And it's nasty because no one wants to say that they played a part in that.
You played yourself. No one wants to say that to themselves. Like, I played myself, you know, because you had the opportunity, you know, you saw, but you chose, you know, it's a choice we make, right?
You don't know.
But it's easier to blame the other person.
in ignorance.
Yeah. It's easier to say, you know what, that person did this to me. This person did that to me. You know, you didn't do this enough. You didn't do that. But what didn't I do for myself? You know, we fail to do that.
Respect myself.
Yeah. And it's okay. You know, now it comes with self-compassion and it's okay. You know, it's fine. It happened. So what else? What now?
I think I love better now.
I love that because you have learned to show up for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Better.
And I'm more allowing of mistakes. I'm like, oh, you did that? Okay. Back then, how dare you?
Right?
What do you mean?
Why did you, you know? Why did you allow yourself? Oh my God. I remember those moments and I'm like, oh, cringe.
So we have just a few minutes, Zahra, but I feel like...
Tell me, Mama, tell me.
I don't know if we need 3 parts for our conversation.
I would love that. I'm having fun. I don't know about you, but I'm having fun.
I don't want this to end, but I have to let you go and serve Allah. So
yes, my prayers. Oh, when He calls, you answer.
When He calls me, we have that song. I don't know. If you know
oh, you do? You guys have that?
Yeah, when He calls me, I will answer. When He calls me, I will answer. When He calls
I love your voice.
me, I will answer. I'll be somewhere, I think, waiting for my Lord.
For my Lord. You know, it's reminding me of Moses. You know why we do that? We actually, you know, we hasten to that call of prayer is because of Moses. May peace and blessings be upon him. Yes. When he was climbing Mount Sinai to go get the word from God, he left the Israelites, his people behind.
Right.
And God asked him, why did you leave your people behind? And he said, I'm rushing to you, my Lord, so that you may be pleased with me, you know? And we love and we always live up to that. So when the call of prayer, you know, is said, you're like, I have to rush to my Lord so that He may be pleased with me, you know? Oh, I love that.
And now I have to give you time. So that you got to the ablution and everything.
Yes. This was such a hot seat. I need to shower, girl. I've been sweating.
So I don't know when I would have wished for us to have it come out in what is the English word? Consecutively, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know when next we're going to be doing this.
You're the boss.
I'm the boss?
Me know. You're the boss.
If you have time, I can come back in the studio today. So
not today. No, I need to go and say, oh my God, what did I just say out there? You know, I just lived my childhood traumas today.
Thank you so much for sitting in with us to the very end. And if you loved this conversation, please note that this was part 1. There is still part 2 of the conversation that is going to come out next week. I promise I'm not disappearing. So next week, part 2 of this conversation is coming out like you heard us. It is already in the pipeline. It is coming in next week. And if you love this specific one, this part 1, make sure that you have hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening in right now, whether it is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, YouTube, wherever you're listening into this podcast, wherever you're hearing my voice from, hit the subscribe button, because part 2 is bigger than part 1. I don't know. It's just a continuation. Yeah, but if you loved our conversation, it's now serious work. If you love the conversation, please hit the subscribe button and make sure that you are also following us on our socials. We are at #time with Advocacy on Instagram and Facebook, and on Twitter. Jesus Christ, I forgot X. We are at HTNK Podcast. When did I last post there? Oh my goodness. But yes, that's where we are right now. But I think the most important place for you to catch us is wherever you are listening in to the podcast. Ciao.